Hello students, welcome everyone. I am Amrit and today I have come up with a new video for class 10 from the book First Flight, chapter 1, A Letter to God. Dear students, I will deal with the word meaning and also line by line explanation. So hope everybody will get benefit out of it. So students, uh, the chapter A Letter to God is written by G.L. Fuentes. G.L. Fuentes is a great writer. He usually writes simple things in a very witty way. Now, before we start this chapter, I'll just briefly tell you about the summary or the theme of this chapter. A Letter to God is a story of extreme faith in God. Through this story, the writer J.L. Fuentes has tried to depict the invisible and immovable faith in God. Lencho was a poor, honest, and hardworking farmer. He does all his works very well and thinks to have good harvest. But hailstorm comes and he does not get his profit. And then he asks God for money. This is what the story tells about, and the whole thing is uh, means it is the whole chapter is telling about the faith in God. So let's get started with the chapter. The house, the only one in the entire valley, sat on the crest of a low hill. From this height one could see the river and the field of ripe corn dotted with the flowers that always promised a good harvest. So my dear students, we can see here that the author is telling that there is a house on the top of the hill, and from that hill you can see down the valley that there are good harvest. All corns they are ripe and that can be seen very well. The only thing the earth needed was a downpour or at least a shower. Throughout the morning, Lencho, who knew his fields intimately, had done nothing else but see the sky towards the northeast. So, my dear students, here the author is saying that Lencho wanted rain. Here you see that there is written downpour. Downpour means heavy rain or at least a shower. That means if not heavy rain, at least some kind of shower or a few little rains he wanted. And now he sees toward the northeast. Now we are really going to get some water, woman. The woman who was preparing supper replied, "Yes, God willing." The older boys were working in the field while the smaller ones were playing near the house until the woman called to them all, "Come for dinner." Now see here, we see that Lencho comes to his house and he says to his wife that there might we get rain. So he feels that they are going to get nice rain now, and so they will have good crops, and he looks very happy. Few children, they were playing on the field, and the elder children, they were working in the field. It was during the meal that, just as Lencho had predicted, big drops of rain began to fall. In the northeast, huge mountains of clouds could be seen approaching. So, my dear students, as we see that Lencho already tells that there it might rain today, and so same thing happens. Means there are seen huge clouds. That means it is going to rain heavily. The air was fresh and sweet. The man went out of no other reason than to have the pleasure of feeling the rain on his body. And when he returned, he exclaimed, "These aren't raindrops falling from the sky, they are new coins." The big drops are 10 cent pieces and the little ones are fives. So students, we see here that Lencho is feeling the happiness of seeing the rainfall, and he feels very happy that now he might get good crops. And he tells that uh, those raindrops are not a rain, but they are coins. The bigger ones are uh, 10 cents and the little ones are 5 cents. That means it will rain very well, and so he will get crops, good crops, and then after selling that he will get good amount of money. And so he just compares that. With a satisfaction expression, he regarded the field of ripe corn with its flowers, draped in a curtain of rain. Now see here, draped means covered with cloth. So now he sees with satisfaction. He feels that now that corn will arrive very soon, and he will be very glad. But suddenly a strong wind began to blow, and along with the rain, very large hailstones began to fall. These truly did resemble new silver coins. The boys, exposing themselves to the rain, ran out to collect the frozen pearls. Now, my dear students, we see here that suddenly they start a heavy rainfall, and then thereafter just there is hailstones. My dear students, hailstones means small pieces of snow. In Hindi, we can call it ole. Okay, so they look like a silver coin, and uh, now before sometimes Lencho was very happy that it will rain and then all that, and he was happy also. But suddenly thereafter, there starts hailstones, the falling down of big pieces of snow. "It is really getting bad now," exclaimed the man. "I hope it passes quickly." It did not pass quickly. For an hour the hail rained on the house, the garden, the hillside, the cornfield, on the whole valley. The field was white as if covered with a salt. Dear students, here we see that Lencho was very happy just few minutes ago, and now he is getting slowly in a sad mood, just because after the rain there is a heavy shower of hailstones, and hailstones are not good for the crops because they destroy all the crops. And that was so heavy and too much that it looked like a whole field is covered with a salt. Not a leaf remained on the trees. The corn was totally destroyed. The flowers were gone from the plants. Lencho's soul was filled with sadness. When the storm had passed, he stood in the middle of the field and said to his sons, "A plague of locusts would have left more than this. The hail has left nothing." So, my dear students, here Lencho is saying to his sons that uh, means locust. First of all, you know the meaning of locust. Locust means insect which fly in big swarms or big groups and they destroy crops. Okay, like grasshoppers, there are some other type of uh, insects are there. They are called locust and they destroy crops. And so he says that a big group of locusts would not harm that much this hailstorm has done. So he's not at all happy now, and he feels uh, sad. His soul is filled with complete sadness, and uh, he sees towards the field. "The hail has left nothing. This year we will have no corn." That right was a sorrowful one. "All our work for nothing. There's no one who can help us. We will all go hungry this year." So now, dear students, the author is saying that Lencho has had hope that he will get good harvest and he will earn a lot of money, but everything has turned down, everything has just changed, and now he feels that no one can help him. But in the hearts of all who lived in that solitary house in the middle of the valley, there was a single hope, help from God. But Lencho again becoming positive, he says that uh, even in this situation there is only one hope, that is from God. God can help. Don't be so upset. Even though this seems like a total loss, remember no one dies of hunger. Now he thinks positively and he himself is saying to himself that no one dies of hunger. That means there is God. God can feed everyone. He will not allow anyone to go hungry. This shows that he has a great faith in God, the Almighty. All through the night, Lencho thought only of his one hope, the help of God, whose eyes, as he had been instructed, see everything, even what is deep in one's conscience. Lencho was an ox of a man, working like an animal in the fields, but still he knew how to write. Now, my dear students, we see here that there are see the meaning. Conscience means an inner sense of feeling, that is what is right or wrong, that is called conscience. And we see here he walked like an animal, or he was an ox of a man. This means he was a very hard worker. He did a lot of work in his field, and so he thought that now God is the only hope, that he will feed him. And though he was a worker, he was working in the field, but he knew how to read and write. God, he wrote, if you don't help me, my family and I will go hungry this year. I need 100 pesos in order to sow my field again and to live until the crop comes, because the hailstorm. So, my dear students, see the here meaning. Peso. Peso is a currency of several Latin American countries. So this is a kind of currency, like we have 1 rupee coin, 2 rupees coin, or all this. So it is also a name of a currency that is uh, can be seen in Latin America. Okay, then what he writes next? He wrote to God on the envelope, put the letter inside, and still troubled, went to town. At the post office, he placed a stamp on the letter and dropped it into the mailbox. And somehow he wrote the letter and he put that letter into the mailbox in the post office. One of the employees, who was a postman and also helped at the post office, went to his boss, laughing heartily, and showed him the letter to God. Now see, one of the employee from post office, he took out that letter, and the letter was addressed to the God. And so by seeing that, he started laughing. It's obvious that anyone can laugh it by seeing that kind of a letter. And so he started laughing. Never in his career as a postman had he known that address. The postmaster, a fat, amiable fellow, also broke out laughing. So we see here that the postman also, he was amiable. Amiable means friendly man. Also he was a very friendly, and so by seeing that letter he started laughing. But almost immediately he turned serious and, tapping the letter on his desk, commented, "What faith! I wish I had the faith of the man who wrote this letter, starting up a correspondence with God." So, in the beginning, he saw that address and he started laughing, but after a few seconds, he opened the letter. After opening, he was very serious. He thought that means what type of faith this man has got. That means it's unbeatable, it's immovable. So he was impressed by Lencho's faith. So, in order not to shake the writer's faith in God, the postmaster came up with an idea. Answer the letter, but when he opened it, it was evident that to answer it he needed something more than goodwill, ink and paper. But he stuck of his resolution. He asked for money from his employees. He himself gave part of his salary. So my dear students, see here that after opening the letter, he read that and he saw that the faith of Lencho, and he was wonderstruck. He was deeply moved by the faith of Lencho, and so he thought by himself that he will surely help that man. And so he collected from other employees for whatever the amount of donation they gave, and also he himself put some salary from his own pocket. And several friends of his were obliged to give something for an act of charities. That means they gave for the act of charity. It was impossible for him to gather together the 100 pesos, so he was able to send the farmer only a little more than half. He put the money in an envelope addressed to Lencho, and with it a letter containing only a single word as a signature, God. So here we see that postmaster himself, he collected all the money as an act of charity, and he himself uh, gave some money out of his own pocket, and then finally he just put the signature as a God, and then he sent it, put it in the post box. The following Sunday, Lencho came a bit earlier than usual to ask if there was a letter for him. It was the postman himself who handed the letter to him, while the postmaster, experiencing the contentment of a man who has performed a good deed, looked from his office. Now see, my dear students, now Lencho, after a few days, he goes to the postman and asks that is there any letter for me, and then the postman himself, he goes there and just he opens that and he gives letter, and just he wants to know the reaction, means how Lencho would feel, because he felt contentment, means satisfaction, that he's all satisfied because he has not able to send 100 pesos, but at least he had done what he could, and so he thinks that uh, he might be happy. But let's see what happens. Lencho showed not the slightest surprise on seeing the money, such was his confidence, but he became angry when he counted the money. God could not have made a mistake, nor could he have denied Lencho what he had requested. Now see, after just seeing the letter, he opened that there was money, and so he was not surprised because he had faith on God that God will surely send money for him, and so it was not a kind of surprise for him. But just he took that and he started counting. Immediately, Lencho went up to the window to ask for paper and ink. On the public writing table, he started to write, with much writing of his brow, caused by the effort he had to make to express his ideas. When he finished, he went to the window to buy a stamp which he licked and then affixed to the envelope with a blow of his fist. Now, my dear students, we see here that uh, after just reading, taking out the envelope and taking the money, he was not happy because he had asked for 100 pesos, and so he asked one more paper to the postman and then postmaster, and then he writes one more letter, and he again asked for uh, envelope and everything, and just he put again one more letter in the post box. We can see, the students, here Lencho standing there in front of postmaster and uh, giving the letter. The moment the letter fell into the mailbox, the postmaster went to open it. It said, God of the money that I asked for, only 70 pesos reached me. Send me the rest since I need it very much. Now see, my dear students, just after putting the letter in the letter box, Lencho went away, and then postmaster, just he was gazing, just he was looking the man, and so he thinks, now he has the curiosity that what the Lencho wrote in that envelope. He thought that he might have written thank you for all the money what I have got, but now let's see what has happened after postman reads that letter. Send me the rest since I need it very much. But don't send it to me through the mail because the post office employees are a bunch of crooks. Lencho. See, my dear students, here we see how the postmaster collected money for each and everyone and sent whatever he could, and instead for that he thought that Lencho might say thank you or send his regards, but after reading the second letter again he feels means amazing, means something different, because in that letter Lencho had written that God, you sent me money, for that I am happy, but next time you don't send the money which is left, that you don't send through the post office, because this postmaster and postman all are bunch of crooks, because they have taken some of my money. So here my dear students, we can see crook means cheat, dhokebaj, है ना. So here he feels that the money was sent from the god, and this postmaster and all his members, they have taken some of the money, and so he writes the second letter, and in that he writes that please don't next time when you send the money, the rest of my money, so that time you don't, please don't send through the post office. So my dear students, we see here how this man means has the faith of God, and he feels very happy after getting the money, but still he has something to think about. That means he still wonders, means where the other means money went, which is not completed. That means he had asked for 100 rupees, 100 pesos, but that 100 pesos was not there, and so he feel bit of surprise. Dear students, I have explained whole the chapter with word meaning, and so I hope it will be helpful for you, and all will see this video. If you like, just comment on it, and if you want my next video, just subscribe, and then you'll get a new video. Thank you. Have a nice day.